site, or should we have the agenda?
yes.
for our meetings?
Yeah, I'll make sure you know that.
All of those documents in your.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
That you
Always
can
looking
bring
for a
up.
volunteer.
Oh, awesome, she wants to be. I couldn't find the committee meetings, I could only find.
Hey, Dean, how you doing?
It's on that side,
Cody said.
Rick's coming right around, and he's gonna show you because
Okay.
we're ready,
You're
we're live, I see that,
Hey, we're live.
we are. Good evening. We are live in the council chambers and we were having a discussion about where to find documents for the new councilors. So, this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the infrastructure committee. It's the first one of the new year. I will be chairing tonight for, Chair Schaefer, who is unable to be here. Around the table, we have, Councilor Fish, Councilor Dean, Councilor Fournier, Councilor Tremble, Councilor Yakabaga, and we have City Engineer John Terrio. So we have 3 items on the agenda and City Engineer Terrio will walk us through those. The first one is the infrastructure overview.
Right, so this being the first meeting of the infrastructure committee for the newly elected council members. Just kind of give a brief overview of what we do here. This has changed recently. We're meeting once a month. We're meeting on the 3rd Monday of the month. Any of you can provide or ask for material to be covered. You can ask the city manager or the chair of the council or email me directly. You know, if we don't have anything on the agenda, we can cancel the meeting. However, when it's only once a month now, it's probably unlikely that it'll be canceled because we'll cancel once in a while when we had it twice a month, but I think we always have something to cover once a month. The kind of stuff we talk about here, I'm just gonna have this little letter that we wrote up. We review and approve city capital projects to include stormwater, sanitary sewer, streets, intersection improvements, pedestrian bicycle improvements and trails. Review and approval of grants offered through state and federal agencies such as Federal Highway Administration, Maine Department of Transportation, and Department of Environmental Protection. So basically, if there's an opportunity for a grant out there and we think we'd like to chase it, we typically bring the grant to the committee, kind of review the material that's in it, and then get your approval to go after it, because there's usually some funding that's attached to that we have to provide as part of that grant. Let me see here. Review and approval to execute contracts with the Maine Department of Transportation for state roadways, pedestrian safety, intersection improvements. So typically, and we do this a lot, we'll get funding from Maine.DOT to do a project. And typically, we're supposed to bring that contract to the committee here before the city manager signs it. We'll talk about that later. Let me see, review and modify if streets and roadways such as acceptances and discontinuances. If there's existing right of way that we see no future use for, sometimes we'll discontinue right of way. Or we'll change traffic patterns. You know, in the time that I've been here, we've created a couple of one-way streets or changed intersection access to like a right in, right out, or put in a new traffic signal or taken out a traffic signal. Sewer abatements from the sewer department are discussed. Authorization to obtain or grant permanent easements on city and private property. So if like the utility company needs an easement on our property, that goes through us. We need to get a drainage easement from private property, that goes through us or through this committee. The committee also serves as a venue to provide information for several city issues such as watershed management plans, the stormwater utility program, and other studies that may come through the city. So that's pretty much it. It's kind of an interesting committee because we do a lot of projects that, you know, we talk about them early on and then, you know, you'll see them actually develop over the years. And so it's kind of neat. So if you're here long enough, nothing happens overnight, but you know, you get to see some projects done. So does anyone have any questions with that?
Just really quick, so if we have a constituent, by the way, thank you for that overview.
Yeah.
If a constituent reaches out to an individual counselor about certain infrastructure related issues, typically what I have done in the past is I've CC'd the city manager in regards to this as well. Is that a way that you prefer that to have general oversight, or if it's something like very minor, like like a roadside issue, something like that, is that something that you would just, like, you might not need city manager?
I would always copy the city manager or
Sounds
anything
good.
you send to me. I mean, I don't mind getting it, but it's nice to have two eyes on anything anyhow, because I get a lot of emails and she gets a lot of emails, but having two people, on a topic is better than one.
Sure thing. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Any other comments or questions for city engineer? No,
All right, we'll
Okay.
move on to number 2.
we will.
All right, so like I said, ratifying execution of agreement with MainDOT for win number 026-053.05, Ohio Street, Mill and Fill, Thomas Hill Road to I-95. So this was a contract that we received. Actually, let me back up. This was a grant that we went after for our DOT through their municipal partnership initiative, which is we call it MPI, and we call it a 50-50 project. Those are what you'll hear moving forward. Those are projects that the DOT funds, but they only fund 50% of it. And then we have to, as a city municipality, come up with the other half of it. So that kind of shows DOT that we really want this project. They've been pretty good about funding these. I mean, I don't think I have put in an application that they haven't over time funded. So we've done a lot of roadway projects with this type of funding, although it is, your typical DOT project historically has been either an 80-20 match or an 80-10-10 match, where federal funds are 80%, state will pay 10%, and the local share will be 10%. But those were getting harder and harder to get, a lot of competition, and if we want to get our roads paved, 50% is better than nothing, in my opinion. So we've been hitting these kind of hard. I think the last 6 or 7 years, we've at least had one project, if not 2 MPI projects being constructed. So this one is Ohio Street. It's from Thomas Hill Road to the I-95 bridge. And so it's about half a mile. This is just going to be a mill of the roadway. So milling is when you remove like 1.5 to 2 inches of pavement, the old pavement, then you come in and you shim it and you put new pavement down. So that's what type of the project this is. And then we're also going to do the sidewalks in that area. So that project is $950,000. Our share is $475,000. And the city manager signed the contract back in April or May. May. And so I just need to have the council ratify her actions, sign that contract.
Well, you have some other things.
You have, the city manager is approaching.
Yes.
Just keep it
City
good.
manager Lori.
So there's actually a couple of items that are included in that council item. So we also need to appropriate the state money. So what you're gonna see for first reading on the council agenda next week are resolves that are appropriating the state money to us so that we can accept it and expend it for the purpose described, as well as authorizing my signature. The other thing to be mindful of is that the local share that was identified during our fiscal year 24 budget process, and it was approved for funding. So the local monies have already been approved. They're sitting there ready to match the state money.
All right, I had that part in my notes.
Okay, but you didn't say that.
Well, I wasn't there yet.
Oh, okay. Thought you said you were there.
Well, yes,
Yeah,
I guess
you
I
were.
was there.
Yeah.
All right.
Counselor
But
Flanagan,
I was
you
gonna
have
say,
a
is in the budget.
question? Just a second.
So is there a timing on this?
The contracts are to start in 2024. So we suspect we'll be designing it over this year and then building it this next construction season.
Be happy to make a motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the appropriation, the state appropriations and the work to be done, excuse me, at Ohio Street through the Thomas Hill Road. And these, as you just heard, will be on the city council agenda next Monday. Is there any further discussion, questions? Okay, seeing none, it will be on the council agenda.
All right, super. And then the third item is kind of the exact same thing. It's a 50-50 project. Where we went forward and signed the contracts. This is Ohio Street. And again, it's a mill and fill project, but it starts at Bailey Street and it ends at Crestwood Place. Which is it's about a half a mile, but on this project, we're doing the mill and fill again, or we're removing the pavement, putting new pavement down. But in that area, Ohio Street's fairly narrow, and there's no shoulders, and there's no sidewalk. The sidewalk, I believe, ends at 18th Street, just close to Bailey Street.
Mhm.
And so, we're basically widening, paving and then adding sidewalk to that section. So, that's a more expensive project. It's, 1.25 million. So the city share will be $625,000 on that one. We'll provide 11-foot travel lanes, 5-foot shoulder and 6-foot sidewalk.
Okay. Questions on that one?
Sir.
What I do,
No.
I'll tell you later.
was my pronunciation of city, that was troubling you?
Yeah, yes.
Well.
It's all right.
What happens, John?
Uh,
There's not much you can do. Did you have an actual question? for
No, I don't.
the City
I
engineer.
will make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion for the city engineer on this?
This is a pretty typical infrastructure meeting, just so you know.
Okay, seeing none, this also will go to council next Monday.
All right. I think that's all I got.
I think it is.
You're done. Please
that
go
the-
away.
Is that the end of your?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. That being the end of the agenda, we will adjourn the infrastructure committee at 5:27.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please stay tuned. We have finance coming right up. Take it away, Dan.